without further ado, let's talk about Kyle Tucker's free agent profile, where he may go, and what the contract may look like. We're starting with Kyle Tucker here. Kyle Tucker not only is 28 years old, he's entering his age 29 season, but he is coming off of one of the best 5-year samples that we have in Major League Baseball. It's 4 consecutive All-Star games. And this past year, his lone year in Chicago, in 136 games, which is his highest game total in 2 years, Kyle Tucker hit 266, 25 doubles, 22 homers, 73 driven in. He was 25 for 28 in the stolen base department, and he had an 841 OPS. He wins the Silver Slugger in the National League. He is an all-star again, and it was yet another 4.5, 5-win season. For a guy that is good at everything, is he elite at anything? That is the big question that a lot of people are asking, but we've been saying for a couple of years at this point, Kyle Tucker is a $300 million player. It seems like some around the industry could think that Kyle Tucker is a $400 or $500 million player. I know we're holding your contract prediction, but when you look at Kyle Tucker, the baseball player, what do you feel like a team is signing up for?
I mean, just an all-around solid player. And, to get the combination of a really good defender in right, as well as a guy that can do everything for you offensively. Yeah, I think Kyle Tucker, and the crazy thing about him is I still don't feel like we've seen his best season because the injuries have slowed in the last couple of years. He still, I don't believe, has eclipsed a 5 WAR. I think he's been like right on the edge of it year after year after year. You're signing him thinking, okay, well, maybe if he gets out there for 150 games, we could be talking about a 6-win player, even a 7-win player. He just has such incredible upside because he does everything well. It's weird. It's almost like it's not a 5-tool player, but it was like it's just below it. That I don't even know how to. All the tools are there. They just might not be A grades on each tool.
It's funny because I wanted to comp him to Justin Herbert so bad for the sake of hypotheticals, right? Justin Herbert, the quarterback of the Chargers, is hypothetical, man. Everybody says, oh, if Herbert was in this system, he'd be the best in football. Kyle Tucker, if he was playing 162, he would be valued as a top 5 to top 10 player in Major League Baseball. I still think he is valued as a top 10 to 15 player in Major League Baseball, but it's different than Herbert because Herbert has one of the best arms in the National Football League. Kyle Tucker, everything is like 60 grade. And when you have 60 to 65s across the board, you say, okay, that's reliable. I love that. But are you paying $40 million a year for somebody that doesn't have an 80 grade tool? That is the question. The question, I don't think, is what are the best landing spots for him, because there are probably 5 teams that will fit everybody that pushes over $200 million. And those teams for Kyle Tucker are?
So we got Blue Jays, Dodgers, Yankees, Giants, Phillies, Cubs, Mets. More landing spots than I think any of the other free agents that we have, is we're just really trying to figure out, okay, which team is going to go all in on Kyle Tucker. I mean, you can make a case for a lot of these teams for different reasons. Which of those teams, when I just list out Blue Jays, Dodgers, Yankees, Giants, Phillies, Cubs, Mets, which one just kind of rings in your ears? Okay, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Toronto. Toronto makes all the sense in the world to me. It seems like they could use another superstar talent, and they were so darn close this year. They clearly have fan base buy-in. They will not lose money. They will not make less money in 2026 than they did in 2025 because they were there. They were 6 inches of IKF's left cleat away from winning the World Series. So for me, the hunger that Toronto may have attached with the major market, attached with the payroll, attached with, a need for another superstar with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. if Bo Bichette does walk, Toronto seems like the perfect fit for me. Honestly, I struggle with the other one. The Cubs would be great, but are the Cubs going to pay the price tag that we're going to talk about in a moment for Kyle Tucker? I don't know. The Dodgers are always in play here, but for me, I feel like the ball's in Toronto's court. Do you agree there or no?
So that was my prediction, and not to just spoil it, but I figure I should get into it since I'm in total lockstep with you. I had him going to the Blue Jays, and we could talk about the contract in a minute, but to me, it almost feels like you said, it's kind of hard to find the other team. I feel like the Blue Jays for so long have been in the market to land the top free agent. A Judge, Shohei Ohtani, all these guys, they were in the mix with Juan Soto last year. This is the time where they could finally win the sweepstakes on the best free agent. They're coming off the season where they've never looked more attractive. And if you compare Vladdy and Tucker in the middle of your lineup for a decade, that right-left combination, I think you just got to go for it. And to me, if it comes down to, maybe bringing back Bo Bichette or getting Kyle Tucker, I think you're a better team with Tucker. I also think Andres Jimenez needs to be your shortstop. So,
Yeah.
like, if you're getting Bo Bichette, it's at second base or third base. I think Kyle Tucker in some way makes more sense. I struggle to find another team. I mean, I guess I wonder if the Yankees really make a pursuit here, maybe, but I just think if the bidding gets to a certain point, I don't know what team eclipses $400 million other than the Blue Jays.
Toronto has been so close on so many superstars, and you could present the counter argument to me. Well, Jack, if they sign Shohei, do they extend Vladimir Guerrero Jr. at the number that they did? If they sign a Burns or a Judge, like, what happens if they get that guy? Do they then go with Vladdy? Is that, payroll number accounted for with Vladimir Guerrero Jr.? My counter to the counter is probably not. I feel like, based on what Toronto has done over the last few years, they were looking to add to keep Vladdy in Toronto. They were probably always going to pay Vladimir Guerrero Jr. $400 to $500 million. They ended up giving him $5, but that doesn't take him out of the superstar sweepstakes. So when we talk about financial constraints, I really feel like that's kind of a silly conversation when it comes to the Toronto Blue Jays.
And then all these other teams, I sort of could see the constraints where they wouldn't go there. Like I could see why the Yankees would prefer Bellinger at $10 million less per season, if not more than that. The Dodgers, there's a lot of contracts already on those books. Are they really going to go all the way in? Giants, they have a lot of big contracts. Phillies, can they really push the chips in? Doesn't seem like the Cubs are going to do it. And the Mets have Juan Soto in right field. Now, the Mets would be a lot better if Juan Soto was your DH and Kyle Tucker was your right fielder, but I still don't think they're going to go there. So it feels like a slam dunk to me that Kyle Tucker goes to the Blue Jays. As far as the contract, I feel like I overshot it in some ways, but last year I think I had Soto at like 450 and I was $300 million off. And so I just was like, you know what? Maybe it's $430 million over 10 years, which sounds crazy. It's the higher end of our contract range that you could find on the landing spots article, which was 35 to 45 million. And I feel like I went too high, but again, I was so far off on Soto that I was just like, you know what, top free agent in the market, maybe he gets paid.
I understand where you're coming from. The clapback would be Juan Soto is Ted Williams reincarnated, and he was 26 years old when he hit the open market. Kyle Tucker is entering his age 29 season, and spoiler alert, Kyle Tucker is not Ted Williams reincarnated. There are plenty of factors that went into Soto getting $300 more million than you could have even forecasted. And one of them, I think, obviously Steve Cohen is the biggest factor. But I think one of the factors is he already said no to a contract over $400 million. That was huge for me. And that said to me, okay, this guy's big game hunting. He's not looking for the AAV. He's not looking for 8 years at $50 million per. He wants the fattest check over the course of a contract that he could possibly find. And that's what he found at $765 million. With Kyle Tucker, I feel like it's a little bit different of a conversation just because Tucker is not the hitter that Soto is. Tucker is 3 years older than Soto is. And Kyle Tucker doesn't have the cachet that Juan Soto has. If Kyle Tucker's not going to New York, he's probably not pushing $500 million. I feel like regardless, he's not pushing $500 million. I like that you were gutsy in your prediction at 430. It makes a lot of sense to me. My only thing is the pool for the mega contract diminished going into this CBA that hangs over everybody like a thundercloud in 2027? If there were only 3 teams pursuing Kyle Tucker on a contract that could exceed $350 million, does that not push the price over 400? I could see him signing for 380, but I'm with you. Like, the logical, based on, being a year removed from Juan Soto, the logical contract prediction is over 400. I like that you stayed under 450.
I think that what happened with Soto too is you had the Yankees and the Mets bidding. It was a silent auction that Scott Boras held. No one knew what the bids were. I mean, it's like a fine piece of art, and Steve Cohen, the art collector, ultimately got the job done. But you had so many teams that were in on it. And so Kyle Tucker is going to need 3 of these teams to really be in on it to get it past 400. I also think there's a chance that it gets past 400, but because he might get a 12-year deal if a team is just trying, if there is enough of a bidding war and the AAV is a little bit less, I think he clears 350 for sure. 400 to be decided. We'll see what happens throughout this offseason.
Gotcha. That was your Kyle Tucker free agent profile and prediction. We're going to get to a couple of the other biggest names on the free agent market in a moment.